like a son, like a parent. Both of you are useless idiots. Nick poured the wine over Jason's head in front of me after saying those words. I was momentarily too astonished to comprehend what was going on. However, that sensation was fleeting. Something that had been simmering within of me started to surface. Jason tried to laugh it off with a fake smile, despite the fact that he had been humiliated. Most likely, that was his way of showing consideration. Our group company's 10th anniversary was celebrated with a party today. Jason was acting bold for me, even though our relationship was usually tense. When I saw that, I decided. I took the platform without a single word. When my secretary realized what was going on, she became pale. Nick lost everything 3 minutes later. I'm Andrew, and I'm 46. I am the chairman of a chain of hamburger joints. I started working part-time at a burger shop after high school because I've detested studying since I was a child. I met Julie, a customer service representative there. At the age of 20, we were married, and she gave birth to our first kid when I was 22. My parents were upset with me because I wasn't even a shop manager at the time. I made the stupid choice to create my own burger restaurant because I knew I couldn't continue in this manner. Not only that, but in a fiercely competitive part of New York. In hindsight, that was quite insane. However, sales soared, which surprised me. We were featured on local TV channels, and word of mouth quickly spread, establishing the location as well known. I made the decision that I wanted to start my own business when the chance to create a fourth site presented itself. When I launched my burger chain, I was 32 years old, and it quickly grew. The satisfaction of not having to worry about money was immense, but the workload was crushing. But such respite was short-lived. Julie fell apart. Jason, my son, screamed at me for being late as he stood next to Julie in her hospital room. This is your fault, Mom got sick. For the first time, I realized the seriousness of my faults after hearing Jason's remarks, which hit me like a ton of bricks. In order to avoid bothering me while I was so preoccupied with my work, Julie had been concealing her condition. It's true that I hadn't been spending time with my family, but I wasn't out having fun. Julie never placed the blame on me. Her generosity was all the more bittersweet and agonizing because of that. Jason began confronting me at every opportunity, almost as if to replace her. We had a lot of arguments as father and son. Nevertheless, I found it odd that we could understand one another in every argument. Perhaps we were both urgently attempting to connect, even during those stressful times. After high school, Jason expressed his desire to work at my burger joint. I'll surpass you in no time. Jason, as usual, arrogant. However, the world of burgers is a harsh one. I chose to pretend to be a customer in order to check out the store because I was worried about Jason. I had my own justifications, but even I realized it was a stupid idea. The worst possible working atmosphere was what I saw when I went to watch Jason at work. Hi, Jason. Are you unable to move more quickly? You've been always getting in the way. A gruff voice reverberated throughout the store as soon as I entered. I was astounded since it was so loud that even the patrons could hear it. Nick, the branch manager, was the voice. Although he is an energetic, athletic individual, there have been reports of him acting improperly at work and imposing rigid hierarchies. Jason immediately responded to his yelling. Sorry. Jason was being scolded right in front of me. I never imagined I'd witness my own child getting reprimanded. Feeling not just awkward but deeply uncomfortable, I let myself be guided to my seat. The atmosphere inside the shop was so tense and quiet that there was no way anyone could enjoy a burger there. I ordered one anyway, but watching Jason rush around frantically while I ate left me completely deflated. I regretted coming. You're completely useless. I'd love to meet your parents. Bet you've never held a real job in your life. Nobody else would even hire someone like you, so be grateful to me. Nick sneered while making burgers, laughing smugly. Meanwhile, Jason was doing everything he could, washing dishes, serving customers, and running all over the place. Even from my perspective, his performance was more than adequate. I couldn't understand what more Nick wanted from him. Watching Jason, I couldn't help but remember my own past. I had also endured harsh words every single day. It wasn't just my manager. Random customers had even spat on me. Those tough days brought me to where I am now. But looking back, the working environment back then was downright insane. Even so, I was able to continue because of my family. Without Jason and Julie, I wouldn't have made it in the burger business. Maybe seeing such a harsh workplace again now was some kind of karma. Thanks for waiting. Here's your burger. With Jason's cheerful call, the burger was served. Normally, I'd take the time to appreciate the aroma, color, and presentation, but today, I wasn't in the mood to notice any of it. All I wanted was to leave the shop as quickly as possible, so I ate in a daze. Hey, how many times do I have to tell you to keep the workbench clean? You're way too careless about your job. Nick's voice boomed through the shop again. There's nothing worse than eating a burger in such a toxic atmosphere. I got a first-hand look at what was really going on at the store, and it was worse than I had imagined. This location had already been reported as having a bad reputation for some time. Despite multiple attempts by headquarters staff to encourage operational improvements, nothing had changed. The store reviews were terrible, and there had been numerous complaints about customers witnessing employees being scolded. Experiencing the atmosphere myself, I realized it wasn't an environment where anyone could comfortably enjoy a meal. I've endured tough work environments and harsh training before, but honestly, they left nothing but bad memories. Scenes of someone being yelled at not only stress out customers, but also leave employees with emotional scars. That's why I've implemented compliance training for store managers and worked on operational improvements to ease the burden on the staff, even if just a little. But realizing all those efforts may have been for nothing left me frustrated. I went home ahead of Jason and waited for him to return. When he finally got back, he looked completely exhausted. I couldn't tell him I visited his store, but I was too worried about him not to say something. Everything okay? The words I blurted out felt awkward, and I immediately berated myself for not phrasing it better. Since Jason and I don't usually get along, I can't afford to show him any soft-hearted concern. It really drives home how clumsy I am at expressing myself. What's this? It's rare for you to talk to me. I'm fine. Don't worry about it. Almost as if he could see right through me, Jason made a quick remark and headed back to his room. Even though I should have left it alone, for some reason, I decided to head back to the store the next day. I wanted to see if the problem was due to Jason and Nick not getting along, or if Nick was always imposing his overbearing behavior on those around him. The next day, I found out the truth. It was the latter. When I walked into the store, the cheerful greetings of the employees echoed around me. As for Nick, the source of the problem, he was casually playing with his phone. I was stunned by the sheer audacity of such an unthinkable sight. He didn't even try to hide it, acting like he couldn't care less about the customers around him. If watching Jason get scolded yesterday wasn't shocking enough, seeing Nick slacking off right in front of me was infuriating. I felt so irritated by his blatant disregard for the workplace that the glass of water in my hand started trembling. How much disrespect can one person show to everyone around them? I ordered a burger just like I had the day before, but the one that came out was barely edible. It wasn't the flavor that had built this company. Burgers are delicate. They can lose their signature taste with even the smallest mistake in preparation. It felt like all the training we provided had gone to waste. Ultimately, training is only as effective as the attitude of the person receiving it. We've worked hard to ensure every store serves the same flavor and quality no matter the location, but Nick had proven that even our best efforts could be rendered meaningless. This store held no value. As the place got busier, I decided to leave, but Nick came over to handle my checkout. Are you ready to pay? His apathetic tone and lackadaisical attitude made me question how someone like him could ever hold a managerial position. Remembering how he treated Jason the day before, I couldn't hold back any longer and decided to confront him with the truth. You're Nick, the branch manager, right? I'm Jason's dad. Having a family member of an employee show up can be fine if the relationship is good, but if not, it's bound to be uncomfortable. I made my remark with a bit of sarcasm, but Nick responded with an unbelievable lie. Oh, you're Jason's dad? Yeah, he's been a huge help to us. Unbelievably, he lied. He probably thought he could get away with it without being found out. He gave me a dismissive response and quickly retreated to the kitchen. Even though he thought he was being polite, his sloppy behavior only fueled my anger. Is this really the kind of store I built? I left the shop, my frustration giving way to a growing sense of helplessness. No matter how hard I'd worked to build this company, it seemed to mean nothing to others. That day, I walked home with a heavy heart, overwhelmed by a crushing sense of powerlessness. 2 weeks later, Jason and I attended a venue for a celebration party. In just 10 years, the burger chain I started had expanded to over 40 group companies. The anniversary celebration brought together many branch managers. Of course, Nick was there as well. What are you doing here? I noticed from a distance that Nick was confronting Jason. With his face already flushed, it was clear Nick had been drinking. Jason responded with a smile, but that only seemed to irritate Nick further. A rookie like you has no business being invited here. Don't mess around. Oh yeah, your dad showed up at the store the other day. He looked like a scruffy old man. Nick, clearly annoyed that Jason had been invited to the event, made a jab at me. But then Jason said something unexpected. My dad isn't scruffy. Please stop joking like that. It was a clear and firm denial. The unexpected turn of events left me frozen in place. I never thought Jason would step up to defend me. However, that only poured fuel on Nick's anger. Visibly enraged, Nick grabbed a glass of wine from the table. Like father, like son. Both of you are useless idiots. With those words, Nick poured the wine over Jason's head right in front of me. For a moment, I was too stunned to process what was happening. But that feeling only lasted for a moment. Something boiling deep inside me began to rise to the surface. Even though Jason had been humiliated, he tried to laugh it off with a forced smile. It was probably his way of being considerate. After all, today was an event to celebrate the 10th anniversary of our group company. Despite our usual strained relationship, Jason was putting on a brave face for my sake. Seeing that, I made my decision. Without saying a word, I stepped onto the stage. My secretary, who understood what was happening, turned pale. 3 minutes later, Nick had lost everything. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for being here today. The atmosphere in the venue is truly electric. I'd like to take this opportunity as the chairman of this group to introduce someone very special. The room fell silent as I began an unplanned speech. I gestured for Jason to come up to the stage. Still dripping with wine, Jason walked up and greeted the audience. This is my son, Jason. He's still inexperienced, so I kindly ask for your guidance and support. He's already been blessed with a shower of wine. It seems he's in quite a hurry to celebrate. The room lit up with a few smiles. However, some people's expressions remained tense. Nick, the troublemaker, was among them, staring wide-eyed at Jason and me. After raising a toast, I decided to leave the venue with Jason. The sound of hurried footsteps echoed behind us. It wasn't just one person. There were several. I turned to see my secretary looking flustered, along with Nick. The secretary tried to convince me it was too early to leave, but I declined. Jason might catch a cold. I need to wash the wine off him. He's done a great job tonight. We're heading home now, so don't stop us. The pale-faced secretary didn't say anything further. She probably held back because she knew how furious I was. However, despite the situation, Nick decided to butt in. I deeply apologize for my behavior. I had no idea you were the chairman of the group. Nick's overly theatrical apology unfolded before me. I wasn't looking for an apology. All I wanted was for him to disappear from my sight. But he failed to read the room entirely. This self-serving behavior pushed me to my limit. Are you trying to say you would have behaved differently if you had known I was the chairman of the group? It doesn't matter whether I'm a customer or the chairman. My son Jason was hurt right in front of me. You hurt my family, and that's a serious offense. Even Jason seemed taken aback by my unusually assertive tone. It had been a long time since I had shown this level of severity. Well, Jason has really been a great help to me. I trust him completely. His pitiful attempt to justify himself was so pathetic it wasn't even funny. Oh, so in your world, pouring wine on someone is how you show trust? That's an impressive tradition. Perhaps I should visit your family someday and pour wine on them. I'm sure they'd love it, wouldn't they? He could at least come up with a better excuse. I was utterly exasperated by Nick's inability to offer a proper apology. To someone like him, I decided to deliver a certain truth. By the way, I have a recommendation for you. How about working overseas? We recently opened the store in Asia, and I'd like you to go there. Overseas assignments are a great stepping stone for promotion. Do your best. Realizing he might be sent to an unfamiliar place to manage a burger shop, Nick's face turned even paler. He began pleading desperately. Please have mercy. I've worked so hard for this company, giving it everything I've got. I'll continue to work tirelessly, so please don't send me away. I couldn't tell whether his words showed any real motivation or not. If he's that eager, he can work overseas or anywhere else. Nick's half-hearted excuses were nothing more than a sign of his desperation. I have a family. Please don't say such terrible things. Nick's pitiful plea sounded weak and insincere. Could he say the same thing to the employees he had driven to their limits? Everyone has a family. Knowing that only made it all the more infuriating. Do you truly understand what you're saying? Because I can't understand you. There was no point in continuing the conversation. Far from calming my anger, his excuses only fueled it further. I had seen Nick's so-called efforts with my own eyes. Don't worry. You don't have to try so hard. It seems all your effort is spent on your phone anyway. Why not just play with your phone before making burgers? I've visited your store twice. It's the first time I've ever been served a burger that bad. Nick's actions had undermined everything we had built over the years. I began listing the problems one by one. You yell at employees in front of your customers. The buns are lukewarm. The fillings are skimpy. You ignore customer service to play on your phone or chat with staff. Even when corrected, no improvement is seen. All of this is written in online reviews, and I've seen it myself. All of this is fact. Each of these issues could be fatal to the business. He has destroyed trust with customers and damaged the store's brand. There was no way I could let this slide any longer. Nick, who had been moving so aggressively moments ago, now stood frozen and trembling. This, all of it, is undeniable fact, even if he doesn't realize it himself. The reviews and first-hand experiences from others back it up. Nick might be backed into a corner. However, the relentless Nick clung to my leg. These are just isolated testimonies. I was only strict to protect the store's sales. It's true. True. I swear it's not a lie. Isolated testimonies? Is he really trying to deny what I personally witnessed? He must not have been paying attention to people's faces if he could say something like that. Have you even looked at people's faces properly? Don't you recognize mine? As I said this, the grip he had on my leg loosened. Nick, now pale, stared intently at my face. It was a far cry from the moment when he had handled my payment at the store. No one could have predicted that things would escalate like this in such a short time. Both Nick and I remembered each other's faces. The moment this fact became clear, Nick slumped over, his strength draining from him. After that, Jason and I stepped past the defeated Nick and left the venue. The next day, I immediately set up an investigation committee to uncover the truth about Nick's behavior. Based on the facts uncovered, I instructed that Nick be given disciplinary action. Insulting Jason is a serious offense. I believe he needs to start over from scratch. The CEO was shocked when he learned the details but quickly took action. As a result, the store where Nick worked was shut down. There was no point in reopening a location that had caused discomfort to both customers and employees. Nick protested, calling the decision unfair, but I had no patience left for a store that had betrayed the trust of its customers. It's ridiculous to close a store just based on Andrew's opinion. I've been protecting that store for years. Protecting it? That was an outrageous misunderstanding. I had no interest in entertaining his excuses. Just 2 days after the party, Nick was terminated following disciplinary action. He tried to claim the decision was unjust, but his past behavior and the incident at the party were decisive evidence, rendering his complaint invalid. From that point on, Nick's life went downhill. Due to the disciplinary action, he received no severance pay, and no one would hire him when he looked for work. Even his family, who also worked for the group company, reportedly saw him in the worst light possible. Please, could you rehire me? He even made that request to me, but I had no room to accommodate someone who had caused such trouble. The family he claimed to value so much abandoned him, and now he reportedly lives alone. He endured constant snide remarks from his neighbors. Eventually, Nick caused a scene at a bar and was arrested. However, no one came forward to bail him out. While I do feel a small pang of pity, it doesn't change the fact that he betrayed everyone's expectations. The road ahead of him will be harsh, but if he had truly loved his family, he would have treated his employees better. Following the incident with Nick, the group company began addressing the problems within its operations. Reforms were implemented again to eliminate yelling during training sessions and the enforcement of harsh labor practices. Unlike in the past, excessive effort and overwork are no longer praised. From now on, rules must be followed, and it's essential to protect not just customers but employees as well. I intend to continue working to change the image of burger shops as tough and grueling places until it's completely transformed. Meanwhile, Jason has been rapidly developing his skills. He started a new company, and his business is now thriving. Surprisingly, Jason has gone beyond my expectations by launching ventures like a Chinese restaurant after starting in the burger business. According to Jason, he realized that sticking to the same routine wasn't the way forward. I was proud of him. If people eat nothing but burgers, they'll get bored. I thought about trying something different, like Chinese cuisine. Chinese food lets you offer a wide variety of menu items. If you keep things fresh, people won't lose interest. I'll surpass you in no time, so don't worry about your retirement. His once cocky words now felt dependable. That incident helped repair our relationship, and now we can have normal conversations. Slowly but surely, it seems our bond is being restored. In parallel, Julie, who had been in poor health, is also recovering. The doctor said that with continued treatment, there's no need to worry. You two, don't overwork yourselves. I'm so happy to see you getting along better than before. It's finally starting to feel like a real family again. Having neglected my family for so long, I now feel grateful for the happiness of our current situation. While there were tough times, seeing my family come back together like this is a source of great joy for me. Both work and family are things you build. No one can say which is more important. From now on, I want to prioritize my family and cherish them more.